Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Francesca Nunez for No Longer Silence. Thank you for coming on tonight. I hope you had a blessed day. I know it's raining, but I feel good tonight. Our topic tonight is going to be awesome. I'm going to have some heavy hitters commenting already. You know that my podcast is about domestic violence, and sometimes people don't want to talk about certain situations. So on tonight, we're going to talk about when an abuser goes back to a relationship, whether it will work. I know I didn't go back to my abuser, and I did a good thing because I know I would never speak my eyes on him ever again. But we have men and ladies that usually go back, and we wonder why and why we give them a second chance. And sometimes, depending on the severity of the domestic violence, I say going back is a no-no for me or for anyone that endured physical abuse, and especially verbal. But as we move on to my podcast, I always have a poem linked to my topic. And it goes a little bit like this. She fought back against abuse. Through hardened eyes, I saw them take you out the front door. Through hardened eyes, the abuse will be no more. No longer will you use me as a punching bag because I fought back, and I'm glad. This time the fear was in your eyes and left, and you dumbfounded in surprise. The frying pan was my weapon of choice as it hit your head with such a noise. As you laid on the ground and saw me coming at you, you didn't know just what to do. I continued to hit you as hard as you screamed. You screamed, please stop, when I walked my neighbor and a cop. Domestic violence is what they say, and in the house you cannot stay. Court records show you have done this before, but with me, it will be no more. Absolutely no more. But on tonight's topics, we have people that do tend to give second chance and go back. Sometimes I think it's not a good idea, but like I always say when I mentor all of my warriors, because they no longer are victims or survivors to me when they leave a relationship. But I had some that went back, and the abuser continued to do the same situation over and over and over, and they decided to leave, which was a win-win because we never know what's in that person's head. And I can never say they don't change. Sometimes they do. Like I said, we have people that have been in long-term relationships, been married for a long time, and I asked what's the secret, because you can't be married for 30, 40, 50 years and not say you ain't had an argument or a fight or cheating in the process. And they held all that stuff that I'm against, and I don't hold that stuff. If I'm not enough, keep it moving. Keep it moving if I'm not enough. I'm not made for that or fabricated for that. So how often do people go back to their abusers? In fact, survivors of abuse return to their abusive partners on an average of 7 times. Me, it only took 1 time, and that was it. It was over. To see that data that they go back 7 times before they leave for good, I would think after the second rodeo, if it continues to be the same way as before, I would not wait 7 times. 7 times to me is like too much. They always say 1, 2, and 3 is the last straw. So they say it's 2 for me. So before they leave for good, that may sound unbelievable or unreasonable to a person who has never experienced abuse. Like I said, I was married 17 years, and 6 years in is when I started enduring everything the individual did to me. And at one speaking engagement, someone asked me, why did I wait so long? there were so many reasons why I waited so long. There was children involved, no support whatsoever. We don't have the resources that we have now. The resources that were back in the days is you see something, you say nothing, you keep it quiet, there was threats, and so on and so on. But it's different now in a way that you can walk away, you can seek counseling, there's support groups, there's many stuff out there. But for someone that hasn't been through abuse, will actually judge you and say, why wait so long? You know, why wait 7 times? Usually the first time you observe and see, second time you try, and if it doesn't work out, leave. I always say something that's not negotiable is your peace of mind, and love is not supposed to hurt. But there are many reasons why a person might stay and return to their abuser is because of financials, because they're probably scared to start over, in the public eye in society, you failed the marriage, what happened. So maybe because of those 3 reasons, the person doesn't want to leave. At first, in my situation, everybody that saw us thought that we were the perfect couple, that nothing was going on in our relationship. Wherever we showed up, we were the perfect couple, we looking nice together, and lo and behold, they never knew behind closed door what was going on. It was not far from perfect. It was horrendous and horrible. The arguments were never ending. The comings and goings, I had to report myself to him like I was a 5-year-old, and never was to leave the apartment with the kids, always staying there cooking and cleaning. So a lot of people thought I had like the good life with this individual, and they were so mistaken. Once we divorced and they found out the whole story, they totally said I lived with a monster. So some people might go back because of financial reasons, and in the public eye what they might say. And sometimes we can't go by what the public says. You got to go by what you want to live. In society now, they'll try to pick and choose, oh, don't leave each other, what people say. You can't honestly think of what people are going to say if they're not living in that situation. That's a no-no to me. You cannot worry about public eye opinions. What are the 4 stages of Stockholm Syndrome? When I looked into this information, there are 4 key components that characterize the Stockholm Syndrome. Is a hostage development of positive feelings towards the captor. In layman's terms, what they're trying to say is that the hostage holds, I'll put myself as an example, like my husband kept me in the house, and I couldn't say anything against anything he said, or he would be physically abusive. So no previous relationship between hostage and captor. A refusal by hostage to cooperate with the police and other government authorities. That's when the Stockholm Syndrome comes in, is where the captor thinks that what he's doing, and absolutely he's not in the wrong. And he is in the wrong. The hostage would be being me, where I'm being held against my will. And different things can go down in this situation. Just not too long ago, there was something I saw on the news where a girl in a dorm, a guy that knew her, he followed her to the dorm and kept her 24 hours in a room where he repeatedly raped and beat this young lady. And that he was captured. He's going to jail for that. But that was a hostage situation where she couldn't defend herself. She couldn't fight off, the attacker. And this individual knew her. The full extent of the story, I don't know. She was not interviewed. I don't think she'll be interviewed because the trauma that she endured was absolutely horrific. That was very heinous what he did. So that Stockholm syndrome is many times used in domestic violence, and where you are captive from the abuser, and the abuser tells you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and you are not to leave the apartment whatsoever. That's inhumane, and that is illegal, and it has severe consequences and jail terms. How common is re-victimization? It's very common, absolutely very common. It means that the individual, well, across studies, it amazes me, it was 47.9% suggesting that most or almost half of the women or men are sexually assaulted. So if you enter the relationship again and it was physical and verbal and all those entities happen to you, and you go again to, how would I put this into words? Give the individual a second chance. 9 out of 10, whatever you went through the first time, you might go through the second time. Understanding that when someone is abusive, they have anger management problems. They are high in anxiety, and if you argue with that person over something simple, triggers start happening, and the person, to me, doesn't change. So, and how common it is to be victimized again? It's very common. It happens very so often. It's a chance that you're taking the individual back. Let it be he or she. It doesn't, it doesn't really matter. It happens a lot in young relationships too, and where the boyfriend will say, I don't want you hanging out with your friends. I don't like what you're wearing. I don't want you on the phone. Those are controlling issues. And in today's society, we have a growing, and it's growing massively in teenagers, and more commonly is happening in the male department, where they take control of what the girlfriend is wearing, and they do have a tendency of not only being verbal, but physically, abusive. There was a movie I saw on Lifetime, I think everybody will be familiar with, and it was called No One Would Say Anything. The girl was getting abused by the boyfriend. She never saw anything wrong in what he was, no one would tell. She never saw anything wrong that he did. If she wore a certain outfit, he saw it was too short, he would slap her and tell her to go back in the house and change. If she was hanging out with her girlfriends, he thought she was cheating or just, acting out of the way, and he was always jealous of her. And mind you, in her surrounding, her friends saw what was going on, and no one was saying nothing. Towards the end of the movie, the individual beat his girlfriend so bad to the point that he killed her. And the whole moral of the story of the movie, once I saw it twice, was all her friends spoke among themselves at the funeral, where they saw a yell, where they saw a slap, where they saw a bath in blue, and that's why the movie was called No One Would Tell. We can't wait till the person is in a coffin to speak about the physical and verbal abuse. If I see a girlfriend of mine with a bruised arm or a black eye, I'm going to question her what's going on, and I'm going to try my best to help her. I just can't look and turn away and not ask what's going on with her. It's not being nosy. It's not being saying that you're not going to ask because you don't care. But you should ask. If you're cool and stuff like that, you should ask. If someone that you see all the time normally doesn't have marks in their bodies, you should question that. It's being a good friend. So that movie helped me a lot into my research into domestic violence, and where when you see something, say something. You got to help. And be mindful of whatever situation you do help, you don't get hurt in the process. Now, the next one is, why are people drawn to the abusers? There can be many things. I don't like saying what I'm going to say, but it has to be said. Um, Normally, they get used to the pattern. If the person is used to their partner already yelling at them, they'll look for a reason, or excuse to get yelled at. They'll provoke the person by doing something simply so they can hit them or hit her. In my case, when I spoke at an event, someone asked me, well, you was married 17 years and you said 6 years in, you tolerated all that abuse. It was a man, I don't remember his name. He asked me, did you in fact like what was happening to you? Because there's no way you can endure that and not leave. My response to him was, there was threats towards me and my children. There was nowhere for me to go and say that this was happening to me, and who I went to, they didn't believe it. So to try to get out of that situation, it was very, very hard for me. I did tell him, no, I did not like getting hit, and I never provoked him, and I don't think anyone will like any of those situations that I've said about my testimony to happen to them. We have individuals that like to get hit, that like that verbal abuse. In my case, it wasn't, and I couldn't remove myself from that. So the answer to the individual was absolutely not. But I'm glad you asked that question. Though inside I was mad, and if you're in an event, you can't debate or argue with the person. You got to take what they're going to ask you. I felt some type of way from the question, but I answered it to the best of my knowledge and told him absolutely not. I did not like what he was doing, and who would really like something like that? We have people that do like that situation. Can we understand why? Absolutely not. I've never had a case where someone told me, listen, if you don't come arguing, I don't feel right. I've never had those cases. I've had cases which has been physical, and they wanted to get out. They no longer wanted to stay because they were afraid and knew that the person was not going to change. But I have not gotten someone that I said, I want to go back to the abuser. I miss him. I'm willing to work with him. Thank God I haven't, because I don't know how would I mentor a situation like that where you have to be transparent. But the relationships between the victim and an abuser is like a cat and mouse chase. The victim is so used to feeling like a victim that subconsciously they get attached to the situation that they feel the same. Like I was explaining, they do look to provoke. They get adapted to the situation. And that right there, I can't understand. How can you adapt to, life is tricky. You can't adapt to situations like that. That last one right there, I would never go back to my ex. There was nothing that would draw me back to him whatsoever. I would have to be off my marbles to return to that individual. I can honestly say he has married 4 times, and 4 times all wives were abused. So there should be a listing for people like that, how they register sex offenders. They should have some money for domestic violence, showing the red flags, because he is a repeat offender for domestic violence. I would not return to someone that would be physical and verbally abusive, because that's not life. That's not no way to live. So sketchily in your life, your health will be affected. Your nerves will be affected. You won't be able to function. That wasn't the case. Thank God that wasn't the case for me. I was able to function, and I never seek counseling, because I'm not saying that it's not a good thing. Anyone that needs to get counseling, I absolutely recommend it. Absolutely recommend it. So with that being said, what was not good for me, I can't say it's going to be good for someone else. I was strong enough to tap into myself and know that I can defeat this and it wasn't going to eat me up, that it was hard for me to get in a relationship or trust again. Yes, those things happen. Absolutely. And that's being human. Before I continue, does anyone have anything to add to the topic on tonight? Well, I got some scared people tonight. It's okay. So, can and later on, I'm going to be asking some Q&As. How do you break from a trauma bound? This one is good. Outside of getting professional support, which I said, many times I said, well, it's not good for me, it's good for someone else. Counseling did not work for me. I can give a little testimony that when I did seek counseling, the woman went way back into my childhood, and it had nothing to do with what I was going through. And I just looked at her and I said, listen, this is not for me. I think I can get through this by myself without the counseling. She reneged and said that it was best for me to take a couple more weeks. And I bluntly told her, you are going into my childhood past, and it has nothing to do with what I'm going through now. So it defeats the purpose for me to get counseling if you're not tapping into the domestic violence. What does my childhood have anything to do with that? So I left the counseling right then and there and decided to go on my own and said, I can beat this. It took over a year for myself to realize that everything the individual said I couldn't do, I honestly did back then and still now, and proving the fact that you could move on, show yourself self-worth, believe in yourself that you're worthy. The utmost thing I represent is respect. No validation. No one should validate you but yourself. You have to live in your own body. You have to appreciate yourself and not expect it from anyone else but yourself. When I say I include partners, I include family, I include all the above. You never look for validation. Like I got out of that relationship, anybody can do it too. I'm not expecting somebody overnight to be able to get over it. Some people, I met somebody that was in a relationship for 10 years. The guy put a gun to her head and her aunt. And here she has not been able to tell her testimony, but is all over the city helping other women get over that situation. She actually wrote a book and used other characters because she was unable to face the fact that she was abused and did not want nobody to know that it was her. I respect that she did that because not everybody is able to speak about their testimony. I'm not ashamed of what I went through. If my testimony can help someone else, I'm good with that. But I learned a couple of years ago that if you don't tell your testimony and you hide it from people, then you can't help someone else that's going through that situation. I stopped asking myself, why me? I was chosen to go through that situation and survive. I also speak for the people that are no longer here. I speak for the voiceless. And I am blessed to be here and be a product that I survived domestic violence. And there's no reason to be ashamed of what I went through. Whatever anybody might think about the situation, I respect their judgment. You have not walked through my shoes to know what I went through. And any questions you want to ask, I'm very transparent and honest. I am not going to lie to you. I will tell you why and because. And I've been asked many, many times, will you go back? No. I have heard the individual say that if I was ever to ask him to come back, he would not hesitate. You don't lost your marbles. You don't bump that head. Ain't no way. No way. So breaking from the trauma on relationships, I always say you got to educate yourself. Educate yourself from that situation. Sometimes it's hard to understand. Sometimes people are in long-term counseling. People are self-medicating themselves. I understand sometimes it's hard to sleep. It comes with the territory when you have past trauma. When I tell my story, sometimes it's hard, and I have to go and relive all the situation that the individual did, and sometimes I've gotten better where I don't let it affect me. At some point, it did. It took me 2 days where I went missing in action from social media, from phone calls, and actually trying to sleep was very horrific because all of what I spoke came to my mind. And it's not even though you're trying to educate people, it's very hard to relive it and also forget it. I heard someone, I don't know if they looked like they wanted to say something, but the mic is open, or I will continue with number 2 on the focus on here and now. When I say focus on the here and now, I'm asking is, do you want to stay trapped in that situation that you just left? What are your goals? What is your life-changing goals on what you're going to do with your life to pick up the pieces? It's absolutely, I'm not going to say it's easy. It was kind of hard for me. I had to depend on myself. I had 3 children I had to take care of. And I can honestly say, when they say, can a woman take care of herself? I see that in social media, that question all the time. And I have to wholeheartedly say, absolutely yes. If you put your mind to it, women are so independent now. And it's very important when I see that question and I answer it and I say, yes, I can dependably pay all my bills. And someone says, you can do it. I'm a woman of many hats. I have a lot of titles on my head, and I put them all to work. So the question is, yes, a woman can take care of herself. Given the situation and you have kids, you have no other choice to fend for yourself. I've done it, 2 boys and a girl, and still in the grandma role of helping. So the here and now for me was that I just buckled my shoes and moved forward and said that situation just finished for me, and what am I going to do now is just move forward. So the focus on all of us is to always think we can't stay in that situation. We stay in that situation thinking about that situation. We're not helping ourselves at all. Number 4 is to find support. Find support by any means. Let it be counseling 101. Let it be prayer calls. Let it be support groups. I've been to many. They do work. Not me participating, but me actually watching to see and also involving myself to be a speaker, to let them know what I went through and to also educate that sometimes when you go through something like this, people think you can't get out of it and you can't strive. Yes, you can. You can strive and move forward. Practice good self-care. During domestic violence, we are physically hurt. I don't like using the word damage, but we are physically hurt with scars, verbally and mentally, it absorbs us, and we have to tap into this self-care and understanding that what we went through, we can change it up. The scars may not go away. I myself have 2, and I have prolonged pain, which is my right foot, where I had surgery, and my right hand, my second index finger, is deformed, where I'm always, when it rains, I get pain, or sometimes I get cramping on that leg, and it's horrific. The day after yesterday, I caught a bad cramp on that ankle that I had surgery, It was awful. I kept rubbing it, and I just had to let the cramping go away by itself. That's something that stayed with me for the rest of my life. But I don't let it bother me. I just keep it moving. If I let it affect me and drain me and say, oh, woe is me, that hurts too much, I just keep it moving. So self-care is very important, tapping into ourselves, loving ourselves, and not letting what we went through affect us. I say I persevered in my situation is not the same thing for someone else, and I understand that. And you have to just lead the person on and walk with them to be able to get to that part. It's very hard. I've gone through many mentorships with many women that are absolutely beautiful, that will not go to a beauty salon to get their hair done because they think they're ugly. They keep it in a ponytail. And I said, girl, if I take you, they will make you look like Wonder Woman. So sometimes we have to get out of that fear and get your nails done, get your feet done, get your hair washed, go to a good spa. I can recommend a whole bunch. I actually made an appointment so somebody can just crack my bones and stuff like that and make my body relax. Sometimes we don't like going to those places, but if you got a hectic job, you have to indulge and love on yourself and take care of your body. Make future plans of what you want to do. Sometimes in the relationship, you probably didn't travel. You probably wasn't able to work. You probably wasn't being able to go to school. Put that all in your plans of what the individual stopped you from doing, and step by step try to, like I said, mold the situation. I can say in my situation, the individual told me about 3,000 to 4,000 times I was ugly. I was going to amount to nothing. School was out of the equation. I needed to be home and take care of the kids. What is school going to do for me? I was with him when I was working 2 jobs. I had to leave one and stay with the other one because he was bothered by me working 2 jobs, me being a nurse. He cut one job off so I can be home to cook and clean. That's where he wanted me at. So I switched up the game when I divorced, and I started modeling. I DJ'd at a radio station, and I started working multiple jobs, and I enjoyed doing that. And believe it or not, I felt like I was in a cage, and when that door opened, I just flew. And I flew and I flew and I flew. There was more pounds to my body. My body transformed. I actually had cut my hair and dyed it also, and I looked at absolutely like a diva. So the do's and don'ts for that individual turned to that I did, and allow me to say it because I'm very transparent. And I say that I did the damn thing, and people were like, did you see what your ex-wife looks like now? And when he saw from afar at an event, I was like, no longer yours, and I keep it moving. A couple of times he approached me to tell me I looked nice, and I just kept it moving. But I showed him that through everything you put me through, I blossomed like a flower again and kept it moving and stayed by myself. So future plans, always put them in a journal, execute them. We could persevere in the future. If he or she prevented you from not wanting certain things, please go for them. I'm a product that I studied. I own my own business going on number 2, a home, a car. It's all in DR. Still trying to move like checkers up here, a lot of stuff because I'm a go-getter. I'm a positive person, and I'm unstoppable. Grateful to have a podcast. I'm grateful to be launching my organization. There's more stuff that's coming behind that. And who says a woman can't do that by herself? Positive mind, positive goals, and I'm a product that you can do it. So plan your future. The love of, number 7, the love of a healthy relationship. When you are ready to get into one, I suggest wholeheartedly do the footwork. Get to know the person first. Get to know their family, their friends, their environment. Before you jump into something that later on you might regret and possibly avoid the heartache over. And if you're not ready, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, if you're not ready, do not jump into it. Stay by yourself, explore yourself, travel, work, and have a good time. Go out with friends, do girls' night out, and night out, whatever. But if that's not necessary in your life right now, I would suggest that you wait. You know, we have a lifetime. It's a lifetime commitment, and sometimes that can be on a standoff. If you like going out, go on dates, that's it. You at the door, bye, see you, and that's it. Leave it alone. What I said is good for me might not be good for others. Very importantly, and I've done soul searching, number 8 is absolutely my number 1, my top 5. Give yourself permission to heal. If we do not heal, we will hurt the next individual that comes into our lives, or the individual that enters in our life might hurt us. Are we here to feel any type of hurt? Absolutely not. So number 8 is my top 5. Give yourself permission to heal. You will bring that excess baggage to an individual that don't deserve it. Do we need to do that to the person? If you have been in a verbal and physical relationship, I suggest when you walk away and hear my words that I say number 8 is my top 5. Give yourself time to heal. Give yourself time to do the stuff that the individual did not let you do while you was in that relationship. It doesn't make any sense jumping into another relationship and you have not healed. I would say meditate. I would say do what you couldn't do. And that was my top 5 and most important. If you do not heal within, you will not heal without. So my suggestion is before you even think of going into a relationship, put your ducks on a roll. We living in times that we don't need to be suffering. We don't need to be somewhere where we're not wanted, where we're not going to be appreciated, where we're not going to be loved. Life is not about that. So take heed to number 8. Give yourself time to heal. Live, love, and laugh, and enjoy your life. We're only here for a short time. We never know when our time is going to be up. We have lost a lot of people in this lifetime, and I just recently lost someone very dear to me, and he has taught me what life is about. And he always called me a kid. Was 50 years old and always called me a kid, a grown woman with kids and grandkids, and was like, "Kid, how you doing?" And he always told me, go out for your goals. Do everything you're doing now in life. Enjoy life. Do not accept anything in your life that's not going to bring you peace. And I appreciate and love him absolutely so much for that advice. So, strategy for resisting to go back. Any questions? I have some people that are very shy, but I accept that. I'm absolutely good with that. So strategies for resisting going back. At the beginning of the program, I spoke about how abusers go back to their partners and the facts about why not and what to be aware. Here is the opposite of letting you know why not to go on back. Remember how your partner abused you and how it affected you. It's very important to understand how the person treated you throughout the relationship as to see as a red flag of not going back. If I had an opportunity to go back to my ex because I felt lonely because I wasn't able to do fend for myself, I would be setting myself up for failure. You know, my mentality was, I don't want to live through that anymore. I did every obstacle. He tried several times to get back with me, several times to stop the divorce. I was the one that, no way, I don't want to live like this. No more sorry. I'm not going to believe you're sorry. So have the divorce not went through, and I accepted this individual, was letting me know that whatever you, in fact, did to me, and you repeated it again to me, I would say how the guy said to me in the event. Did you like what he was doing? So absolutely not. Look at all the pros and cons of what that partner did to you, whether it was physical or verbal. Get in touch with your healthy outrage. This part, very important. If he told you you was ugly, some of the scars came from, you know, like I said, well, thank God some of my situations, they're not visible. But I've seen women that had their face cut, scars around the arms, around the legs, if they got stabbed, they will have visible scars. You get in touch.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish.
Well, Miles?
Yes, this is Miles.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Miles.
I'm home.
Miles. Oh, to God be the glory. Listen, off the podcast later, I've been trying to call your number to see how you was doing.
You got to call my house because I turned off my other phone because it was eating up my money and all the time I stayed in the hospital. So.
Okay, well, welcome back, and I am so happy to hear your voice. I am absolutely feeling wonderful. I would be remiss to say I miss LaToya, and may Dr. James rest in peace. I miss him so heartily. I've always been praying for you every single day and asking for you. So, yes, you can ask a question. Dr. James passed away.
Oh, swear.
Oh yeah, my God.
I did hear about that. Oh, my God.
Yeah. I miss him so much. You know, he was my debater up in here. You, him, and LaToya. So, welcome back. And I wrote your number down so I can call you and keep up with you. But what's your question?
I appreciate it.
You know I love you. Welcome back.
I love you more, though. I just want to ask a question about what you were talking about, domestic violence and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Now, I see these ladies go through that, but they keep staying and they keep going back to the guy. What is it? Is it like they feel like that's the only person they're gonna get, or they just not thinking straight? Because I could never understand that. If he beating you up like that, why is you going back to him?
You know, Miles, as I was looking at the information, and what I see is sometimes financially they stay with him.
Oh, okay. I can understand.
Yeah, it can be a financial reason. It can be a reason where they figure they can't find somebody else because of that unself-worth they have. So it can be financial. It can be, you know, as warped as it sounds, it's not my situation. Mine was like, that's it. I'm not going back to you. As I was saying in the beginning of the program, he tried to stop the divorce 2 times. Begging and pleading. I went to DR for something that we had to do together to split some estates and stuff, and he got on his hands and knees and told me, I'm not going to give you the divorce. I couldn't kill you up in Jersey, but I can do it here and nobody will know about it. And I hopped on the plane and I said, you know what, we'll divide everything when you calm down and when I come with security guards, because you're not killing me down here when I got kids, especially when I got grandbabies.
Good afternoon, Francesca.
Hey. So wait
I'm
one
sorry.
second.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But I didn't get the topic. I just walked in the house, and it's been a long day. And I want to say good evening to you and to all the podcast family. Always, God bless you. God bless you, beautiful lady. And if you could give me the topic, please, so I can just listen in while I decompress and hang these clothes up.
Okay, no problem, Brian. And Miles, I'll continue to answer your question. So the topic tonight is when a man and a woman return back to their abuser. When they sometimes that happens. So Brian, that's the topic tonight. When the man and the woman return back to their abusers, and there's the pros and cons to going back. That the person could be repeating the situation, and it may not be the case. So let me finish answering Miles' question, and where, when they do go back, it's usually because of financial, sometimes it's because of the kids, and because they think they can't find somebody better, so they stick with that person. And that, in my opinion, is it a good thing? No, because sometimes people don't change. In my aspect, my ex got married 4 times after our divorce, and all of them Miles led to domestic violence. The one that was 18 years old, he smacked her across the room from her. I was 6 months in the marriage. He married a 23-year-old 2 years and a half in the marriage. He busted her face wide open. She divorced him. The third one has no clue what she's getting into with him. So how we have registered sex offenders, we should have domestic violence offenders also. I am trying to legislate that because it was done in New York. It passed. I'm trying to do it here in New Jersey.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was listening to this SUV thing, and they was talking about how they did that. Domestic violence people, they register them. And certain neighborhoods and certain, I'm like, wow, that's a good sign.
No, absolutely. And let me tell you something. I'm well connected to the girl that did the registry because her sister was shot multiple times. The street got named after her because it was so horrific how she was killed by her husband. He planned it out. Her name is Elizabeth. And the individual did not get the time necessary, and the family were outraged. The judge said that's what he was going to give them, and that's it, and they can come back and fight, but that's what he was going to give the individual. Bad. I saw that fair? Absolutely not. You took a life. You left a child without a mother. Okay?
Yeah, and it was like, I'm mentally disturbed, or no, they want a mental hospital, right?
Well, in his case, it was premeditated. It was planned out. She put various restraining orders. He didn't care about them, and he seeked her out, and he shot her several times.
And he only got a little bit of time?
And I followed the case a couple of weeks ago where the sister put up an Instagram. Allow me to say this. She says this, beat up as judge gave this man that took my sister away from me and left her children without a mother, a Trump sentence. And that's what made her go further to bring the legislature much harder on domestic abusers, which I give her kudos. I screenshotted the legislature so I can try to do it here in Jersey. I reached out to her and she said, listen, any domestic violence survivor that has died that physically know, or you in the process, you can push it harder. So I'm working on that on the side, and it's something that should be done because sometimes they don't respect the restraining order, and sometimes we have men or women, I'm including, that are deceased from the situation. So that's not cool. We have sex offenders that go away for longer time, sex offender, and the child or the person is still alive living that trauma.
Even if you rob a store, you get more time robbing a store than you get for doing that. That's crazy.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. It is absolutely right. So hopefully I can make, hopefully I can make the difference. I have, all that paperwork trying to see who I have to connect with, whether it be the congressman, whether it be the governor, whether I have to go to Washington or whatever to try to do what she did. But I'll try to do it. If she did it in New York, she's a fierce warrior. I think I can do it in Jersey. It just takes footwork and know-how and wanting to do the initiative. So if she can do it, she told me, Francesca, I met you, and I think you can do it there in Jersey. So go ahead. And
our council people, our council over here in Patterson, they run for re-election next month. It was Cotton and all of them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mentioned that to her a lot. I'm going to see what she's saying about it now.
Okay. And the congressman, I reached...
how these guys out here beating up these girls, but y'all sit around and they just don't help the girl out.
Listen.
But if you stab him, you want to put her away for life.
Exactly. We have, Miles, women that are missing. Women that were killed that we don't know if it was domestic violence. We had Shania that was found in the trunk of the car. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was in Redwood Avenue. She was in the car for a long time dead.
I remember that.
Yeah, and her killer was never found.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, and we don't know if that was domestic violence. We don't know.
It's crazy out there, girl.
No, a lot of stuff is happening. We had another young lady, I forgot what her name was. She was also, I think she was stabbed and she died, but that was domestic violence. Also, it happened here, and I said, wow. You see the increasing things that you're doing. I can be thankful that I was given a proclamation that I spoke on News 12, bringing awareness here in Patterson, being the first woman. But, okay, you can do that, but what are we really doing to push that forward? If I'm pushing it forward, give funding, give the initiative to help me and bring more awareness if you know that's happening. If you don't help me, I'm still going to do it by myself. But don't come and then shine next to me when I succeeded because...
You've been there all the time.
I call you out in a minute. I say, hold up, if I push this, don't come near me and think I'm the type of... Listen, when they did... This is being recorded, but I am a straight shooter. I am thankful that you did that proclamation. I am thankful you called the news to acknowledge me that I brought domestic violence awareness. I am thankful wholeheartedly you did that. But my question later on is, you did that acknowledgement, you did recognize the work I'm doing. Where are you placing me to help these ladies and men that are going through the situation? Or did you do it responsibly me? This is my podcast, responsibly me. Did you do it to shine and acknowledge that I'm doing it, but that you're on my sideline pushing me on? Because I'm still doing it by myself.
Don't just mention it that we don't hear for months.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
So with or without you, I am going to get it done. I'm a woman of possibility that I am going to get it done. So if you did it to shine, I give you that moment. But I said what I said in the news. If the clipping is there, I saved it. What happened to me, I cannot allow a woman or a man to go through that. So I'm here to actually not bring awareness, but mentor and help. But we live in a society.
I used to get in arguments like that, too. Well, like some guys I know from the streets, they be arguing with their girlfriend on the street. I said, they regular arguing. He said, girl, I'll punch you in your face. I'm like, now, why do you want to punch her in the face for? Because that's way past the argument now. You talk about physically hurting your girl. You're going to punch her in the face?
No, and it happens a lot. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you was on when I said that on Broadway. I was in the laundromat and I seen a guy literally beat.
Yeah. I remember that he was doing. Yeah.
And I intervened because everybody now is more for the going live instead of calling 911, because in a fraction of a second, this man could have killed this woman. I came out gun-ho, and later in the program and later on when I posted it with no names or nothing, they were like, listen, I understand you're a go-getter, but you have to be mindful of your surroundings and mindful of what you did, because in the heat of the moment, you don't think about it. But when I realized it at home and I spoke it here, I said, oh, my God, somebody could have knocked me out. Or the same individual that was beating her up could have turned around and hurt me in the process from calling the cops. So I didn't think about it.
Yeah, we had a girl like that was getting beat up by her boyfriend. And that mom went to sleep. One day she just took a pot and just started beating that man while he was asleep. He goes to court. He goes to court and tell the judge what happened. The judge found out, well, where all this come from? He was beating me up for years, and I just got tired.
No, and I read a poem just not too long ago.
I was just listening to.
Yeah, you heard it that I said she utilized a frying pan, and to the point that he screamed and she walked away, and then the cops and the neighbor walked her off. You know, so stuff like that happens. Then when we react in that way, it's called domestic violence. And now we have a situation, Miles, that, okay, I understand that the legislating and stuff is changing, but now when you come out to the home and it's a domestic violence, both of you, if you put hands on each other, you both go to jail.
Exactly. That's what it should be. Okay. We're going to get downtown, find out what happened. And, you know, because, you know, you look at a man like, why is you hitting on a woman like that, man? That ain't no man you beating on. That's a woman.
Exactly.
And sidebar, Miles, how you doing, sir? And just to add to the fire of that, if you say you love her, like how does that coincide with if you say you love her, but at the same time you are degrading her, physically harming her, breaking down her mental, her strength, and everything, but you say you love her, like that's like contradictory to what's going on, you know. And just to piggyback off of that law, my brother lives in North Carolina, and when there's a domestic call, both parties are arrested, regardless of who's got scars or who don't. Both parties go. And they do it like you said, Miles. They get you down to the station house. They put one person in one room, one in the other, and they do the interviews in that fashion.
They do that
I think that's a fair way. I think that's a fair way to do it. You know, because at the end of the day, I mean, let's just be honest about it. At the end of the day, the average man is more stronger than the average woman. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, the man holds the most weight to those type of incidents. You know, and I'm not advocating that just because, you know, I don't do it. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, the average man is stronger than a woman, you know. So we as men that are of decency, we have to start speaking up for the women as well. And what I try to do in my daily passings of walk of life, I just try to represent what's good as a man is concerned. Like the best way I know to reach other brothers is to just have the character, you know, and then one day someone will engage me about my character, and then I can express to them why it's important to have a certain character and a certain temperament, because to try sometimes to engage people right on, they feel threatened or judged, and at the end of the day, it's about trying to help people get better. So that's the goal with me and what I do. I try to help other people get better by being a representative.
That to me a lot matters too. Because when I see a guy and a girl out in the street and they arguing at each other, calling each other all kinds of crazy names like that, you know, I say, yo, why don't y'all just chill, take that home and chill or something like that. Especially if I know the guy. I said, I know, man, you ain't going to actually sit here and slap that girl upside the head like you just said. This is my girl. I could do what I want to. I said, no, man, I said, that's what's wrong with men. You think you could do anything you want with her because that's your girl?
Yeah,
Come on,
I
man.
agree with you, Miles. Yeah. I agree with you. This thing is, it's real backwards out here right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, the best I can do at this moment is to just represent what I talk about, and then that way I can get my point across through character. You know, Martin Luther King said the most powerful statement that could be said in the 60s, that there's going to come a time when a man is going to be judged by the content of his character. And I think that's the way for us men to reach other men. We have to stand for what's right, whether it's male or female, because you got some females that are beating up on men as well. So I think character is the way to reach people. You know, you got to talk about it, but you also got to be about it. So
yeah,
that's just my point. You know, and speaking of, you know, we you know, people listen. Most people know somebody that's in that type of environment, and for whatever reason, they just won't say anything. It's this cliche of mind your own business, and we got to stop that.
Well, shit, two reasons why I listen to this show is, first of all, I love the lady that's in charge here, because you know, she always be looking out for me. That's my girl. But, you know, and the stuff that they be listening to, and all the other women I hear that they're bringing up, see, so when I see something like that happen, I know what to say. You don't want to rush to something when you could be wrong and the whole thing blow up. So I just listen to what they be saying, and I'm like, oh, okay. Because I like I said a couple of weeks ago, I knew this guy. Now, he did right across the street from my house over here. Somebody he gonna punch this girl in the face. I'm like, man, what in the hell you talking about punching a girl in the face?
You know what it is, Miles and Brian. I'm gonna step in, and you guys could enlighten me a little bit. From a woman's perspective, I'm gonna tell you, I learned through some of my relationships, you know, because I'm divorced and widowed, and I learned from both relationships. And one was controlling, and one thought I was his property. The second one, I was freelance and open to say the stuff I had to say with a respectable manner, because he was a God-fearing guy too. And he knew when I was upset how to talk to me. You know, he would say, honey, you know, I see you're upset. Can we talk a little bit later? Go ahead, take a shower, unwind, and let me know when you're ready. Because he already saw the look on my face. So when I saw those actions from him, I was like, whoa. You know, I never got like, get out of my face. I don't want to talk to you. What you telling me to go take a shower? I don't want to talk to you later. It was none of the above in that aspect for him, because he knew how to speak to me. And it's all about communication. And where the first one was, if I asked him how was his day at work, he would throw like the F you in my face, leave him alone. And I had to stay away from him, you know. But in my aspect, he had to know everything I was doing. He had to tell me like a child, like, you know, I held 2 jobs when I was with him, and he had made me drop one of the jobs because he was like, I better don't see you, and I need you home. So one of them got to go. And I would prefer the other one because I want you home in the afternoon. So I left the job, but if I'm your partner and I'm doing stuff to progress and make the financial situation more better, why would you get mad? Because at the end of the day, I see I'm coming home to you, that it won't be prolonged, but, you know, it's for a positive impact in our lives. You know, this day and age now, my second one, I did multiple things. I modeled, I worked, and I DJ'd, and he was never bothered. He always said, if we had the weekends together, that's fine with me, and as long as you're home in the evening, whatever time you get home, Okay, kudos. He never argued. So there was a compromise in these two different relationships. There was a compromise where I learned a more respectable understanding, where the other one was more like force, like, you're my wife, I want you home, is what I say. Where the second one was like, let's talk about it. And I'm not going to say he molded me. He made me look at life that in order to get something, it had to not been arguing. And if you're tired, you give that person space. So my second relationship, he never came on strong. He just gave me that space, and I saw everything totally different from the first one. I was like, wow. So he kind of changed a lot of stuff that I brought from that relationship. He kind of changed because he actually looked into my life and was like, I know it wasn't easy, but I'm going to take it easy with you. And he brought the word of God into my house, so that kind of helped a little, because he wasn't about drinking, and I drank. He wasn't about arguing. I was the hothead sometimes, but it was something that I had to learn, and understand, which I'm starting to get a little better from it, because sometimes I do get heated, but I'll be like, Musa, I will meditate, where I just don't look at that issue anymore and just be like, is it worth it, my time or my energy? So when I said in one of my things, give yourself permission to heal and practice good self-care, was one of my what to do to break out of that trauma. But in that situation that you said about your friend hitting his girlfriend, he thought that was his property. So that was control when he says, I can do whatever I want. No. If I'm in a relationship with you, or I'm in a relationship with Brian, or whoever's here, it's supposed to be a compromise. Everything you're going to discuss, I'm not going to say that these relationships are perfect. You're going to argue. You're going to disagree, but never bring the altercation outside. And also never...
we don't talk no more.
I guess...
no more. Cause I tell him, I said, look, man, I know, there's a time y'all have arguments, but you yelling out in the street how you going to just break her face and all of that? And I said, you know how I feel about men beating on women.
And where you came from?
I said, so, no. I said, I got your girl's side, man. I'll take your girl's side, because there's nothing you can tell me she has said to you. Because I looked at her, I said, you bleeding? No. Did she hit you? No. So why you going to punch her in her face for? She don't know when to come home. When I tell her I need her to come home, I like, yo, man, you be telling her because I be seeing you on the phone, man. I be hearing you yelling at her on the phone. It be like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Why you ain't at work?
Exactly, and there's no need for that, because he's not in a relationship with a child.
Exactly.
Okay, you're not in a relationship with a child. And if you have those tendencies, you need to tap into yourself, because you came out of a woman.
If anything,
you did. Okay, you came out of a woman. You came out of a woman, not a man.
We get ready to go somewhere now, girl. Now we get ready to go somewhere.
You see, they get all fat, they get all blown up, and they're like they be all out the sweating and going through pain, and we just standing about, what can we do? It ain't no, excuse me, it ain't like our penis is swelling up.
Exactly.
It ain't like sitting on the couch hollering for this and hollering for that. And she could be sitting over there sweating something. The first thing the guy said, yo, baby, go make me something to eat. Damn, homie. When my baby mother...
What about you go make her something to eat?
Yeah, when my baby mother was pregnant...
Oh, boy.
Baby mother was pregnant, I used to take... I made sure she didn't carry nothing heavy. Because my mother was telling us, and my sister was telling us what they go through when they get pregnant and stuff. And I got 7 sisters. Yeah. I be like listening to them. I'm like, oh, so I don't want that happening to my baby or my baby mother. And
yes, Miles, you to not cut you off, Francesca, she already know when it comes to me and this God thing, I'm all the way up with that. I mean, that's the answer.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. If you got a relationship with God on a regular basis,
right.
It will teach you what to say.
Exactly.
It will teach you to be apologetic. It will teach you how to look at yourself, how to respond, how to say I'm sorry. It will teach you how to be appropriate in any situation. But your relationship with God has to be more important than your relationship with your girl. Because at the end of the day, the relationship you have with God is going to teach you how to deal with your woman and society. Because at the end of the day, you have to be in society. You got to make a living. You got to do what you got to do, the calling in your life or whatever. And then you have to return and have time with your woman or calls or whatever. So the relationship with God is what keeps you in balance with everything.
Well,
if you don't have that, if you don't have that, my friend, trust me, Miles, I'm telling you from a lived experience, my relationship with God is what, when I don't understand something or I'm feeling a certain way about something, I focus on that, and it'll bring me to my senses, so to speak. And it keeps my temperament the same. Because when you're dealing with women, you have to keep the same temperament. You can't love them today and then tonight you hate them. You got, if you're gonna love them, you got to continuously do that, regardless of how you feel. Because at the end of the day, I ain't seen a pregnant man. I ain't seen one.
You know,
at the end of the day, I ain't seen one.
I had a girl one time, and I felt guilty for a long time. And they said, "Why you feel guilty? She about to hit your sister in the head with a stick." I tried to stop her, but when I hit her, I felt so guilty at hitting the girl. Damn, I actually hit a woman.
Right,
and it made me feel bad.
I mean, Miles, look at it like this.
Yeah.
Miles, we can look at it like this. Hey, let's respect her just for the fact she's the child bearer. Let's look at it like that. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Let's put this thing in perspective. Like I said, I haven't never seen a pregnant man, so let's just respect her for having that authority. That none of us, I'm talking about this whole population, none of us would be here if it wasn't for the woman. So let's start there.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, look, I saw my daughter being born, and I turned around and I said, "God, thank you for letting me be a man, because there's no way
That's right.
I would be having kids."
Yeah,
Miles,
that's a hard thing.
Miles,
first of all, you got to look at the process, Miles, I'm sorry. You got to look at the process, and Francesca, I'm going to let you take over. You got to look at the process of pregnancy. It's 9 months. It's 9 months of this woman's body, emotions, and everything doing a new thing. And then when it's time to have the child, it's 1 foot in, it's 1 foot out. And the pain that goes through the childbearing, I'm going to just be honest with you, Miles. I'm a pretty strong guy, but they can have that.
Yo, my girl, she almost broke my fingers holding my hand.
Yeah, they can have that. Yeah.
Miles, I know
God
you
bless
had
you, Francesca. Miles, I love you too. Keep that good spirit, Miles. And you and I and some other men out here are just going to have to hold the standard of righteousness. We're going to have to commune with our God and just stay in focus with our lives as men. And I'm just a firm believer that if we can get that relationship together with our God, I think we can turn things around.
And I
that's
also
just my belief on it, and I'm going to leave it right there.
I keep telling women the same thing. If a man going to beat on you like that, girl, don't ever go back to him.
No. My grandmother said a tiger never changes their stripes.
Ooh,
now, what you want to say, Francesca?
Thank you so much. I know you had a question for Brian. Do you remember the question?
Nah, I forgot it. All this talk started going on.
Okay, so
remember?
I'm glad you both said that, because when I had said how often do people go back to their abusers, you guys are going to. Yeah, it's 7 times.
Wow.
It's 7 times. Yeah, 7 times they go back to their abuser before they leave for good, and they, believe it or not, they say it's unbelievable and unreasonable that you will want to go back to your abuser. I think 7 times in my field that I've mentored about 10 ladies, it only took twice. I had one of the ladies that went back to the abuser because he was like, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to argue. We have a 2-year-old child. And the voice messages that she sent me of him arguing with her, saying heinous stuff, what he was going to do to her, she finally hit me up and said, Francesca, that's it. I want to get out of this. Help me. And I called the cops, and a restraining order was put in place. I told her to change the locks and put the restraining order in effect for the child that was in daycare. So she finally took the second time around to finally leave him. So the facts here, they say, is 7 times. To me, I would say it's 2 times. In my case, it wasn't, because I said once I went through that, that was it. No matter how much he begged, pleaded, stopped the divorce, like I said, 2 or 3 times he stopped it. I knew he was not going to change, because what you put me through and I survived, I don't think anyone would survive the heinous things I went through. So to me, it was like, listen, dude, we are getting divorced. Don't stop it, because when I go back to the States, I'm going to speak to the lady and proceed with the divorce, because he never changed. I said he got married after me, I think it was 3 times, and all of them left him because of abuse. So we were never, throughout society, everybody saw we were not the problem. They always said, oh, Francesca, I was always wondering what was going on and stuff like that. Why did y'all divorce? Y'all looked so good together, going into, these galas and stuff like that. We never would think you guys would get divorced. In his family environment, we're the only couple that lasted that long, and they too questioned what was the outcome of the divorce, because it was hidden so well between me and him, and I could no longer do that. And so when he begged and pleaded, I said, I don't care if you walk over fire on your hands and knees over rocks, it's not happening. And like I said, when I did a travel to divide the estates and stuff and money that we had together in the bank, he threatened me down there and was like, well, we in DR now. I can kill you here and you won't return to the States.
Wow.
And of course, I was with a brother that was a church-going man, didn't believe in none of that, and he was like, listen, she is not going back to the house. She is actually going to go to a niece's house and stay there, and Francesca is going to be returning back to the States. I say it, and over my body, you try to touch her. So he got me out of that situation, took me to a niece, and I went the very next day on a plane and came back here. He actually called me from down there and was like, you this, you didn't divide the money. I said, under those circumstances, you wasn't lucid. You was arguing with me. We're in a divorce, in proceeding divorce, and you tried to get me back the hard way, and it wasn't the way, he should have done it, and I was not adamant to go back. So, of course, when I had to return to DR, I did go with military and security guards to the bank, and I said, okay, let's just seize this property and divide and stuff like that. When he saw that, he saw I wasn't joking. You're not killing me off, and you're not getting me back.
Yeah, because I could never understand how a guy could look you in the say, I love you. I love you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. And then you tell about, you sit there and threaten her. I'll threaten her.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
What the hell is he talking about? Because when I heard him talking to her like that, I said, yo, man, you talk about busting her in her.
Yeah.
And she was
it's incredible. And you know what, Miles, not to, be off topic or anything, Lady Francesca, it's ironic that most women that are with men like that are really good women, bro. And I'll be saying to myself, how do you get connected with someone like? Because most of them are really good women. You understand what I'm saying? It's weird how that thing works. You know what I mean? It's really weird. It's just gonna take a lot of work between us men who are of decency. The only way I think that we can somehow break the cycle, we have to be representative of what's right, and that's going to cause conversation. And once you can get people to start talking, That's when you can give them a different view.
Get through to each
and
other.
Then, That's that, Miles. I'm just an advocate of character. If you can just go through whatever it is you have to go through to develop the right character, somebody gonna ask you how do you do that, and that's when you can give them the information on whatever the process was for you, and once you can get people to think different, then you can change situations. I mean, that's just what it is. Change your mind, change your life. Real simple. Change your mind, change your life.
My baby mother, I found out she had an abusive relationship because I was arguing with her one day because our daughter was climbing up on the wall unit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, girl, how couldn't my daughter like to climb on everything? And she 3 years old. I said, well, I said, girl, you see her out there?
Yeah, now she falls. Now what? Now we got a situation.
Yeah. And I'm hollering at her, and then when I turned to look at her, she said, I don't care, and then she balled up, and right in the corner on the floor, she balled up like I was gonna beat her up or something.
Mm-hmm.
What you doing? She said.
So Francesca, to you and all the women who survived and are thriving, it's a beautiful look to see a woman or man that has been through such trauma for a certain period of time and they survived and are thriving. That's a beautiful thing. So I just want to say kudos to you, Francesca, for the work that you do, for always shining light on things that needs light shine. I know it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage because a lot of times you're going to run into a lot of resistance. You might even put your own self in harm's way. But it's a God thing, and I understand that. Certain things in life are God things, and certain things in life aren't. And the work that you're doing, and other women and other men that are advocating for good things, it's a God thing. So I just want to tell you, girl, keep doing that thing. We got you. We see you.
And sometimes when I hear her, I think about what she went through. Like, damn, she stood up to that. You know how much harder to take the stance of somebody who do that to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
you know? So guess what, Miles? I'm gonna say it like this: his loss, somebody else's gain.
And the whole community.
Oh boy.
That's my girl too. That is my girl. Short.
No, thank you, Miles.
Lady talking and standing up, and she stood up for that. Like, I ain't taking that shit.
And let me tell you something, and it's like Brian said, during the process of many, many years meditating and trying to get out of the situation, I cling to God. And as my testimony, anybody hears it, at the finale, I said, God, you have your way and remove this individual, not how I want to, how you want to, and it's not how I wanted to. The way he did it was, I was like, okay, if this is the way you're going to get this individual out of my life, let's go. I'm going to say, unfortunately, the situation led to a knife in the living room. And as I said, my 16-year-old daughter was witness to the argument, and he took this knife, and she made me run into the bathroom. But I was thinking, how I'm going to leave her in the living room with this guy that's not elusive. He's drunk with a knife in his hand. I'm supposed to protect her. Not her protecting me. I came out of the bathroom and prayed, and I said, God, if he's going to take my life tonight, it is what it is. As long as it's not my daughter, we're going to fight. And as soon as I came out of that bathroom, the doorbell rang, and it was the cops. And I was like, oh, my God. And after that situation, I got my daughter in a safe place, came back to the apartment knowing what I was getting myself into, and I tapped on the individual, and I said, you got 24 hours to leave this apartment. I can no longer be with you. He just mumbled in the bed because he was drunk, but he did leave. 2 days later, he did leave and called me and said, listen, I'm going to come and get all my stuff. I had someone there. He brought someone also to make sure that nothing happened. And like I said, 8 months in, I'm not going to say that it was peaches and creams. The divorce was like up and down. We had stuff in each other's name, bank accounts and stuff that needed to be resolved. And throughout my changed. He started seeing a different Francesca, more heavier and stuff like that, new look and stuff. And he thought he probably can get back. So how was I not looking like that in the relationship? Because you were stressing me out. I lost weight all the time. I couldn't sleep. There was stuff that you did to me that I could never, ever erase, but it doesn't define me today. I healed from everything, thank God. But it was a process. I'm not saying that anybody can come out of this like I did. Everything is a process. I have young ladies that I'm mentoring on a day-to-day basis that they tell me, you don't look like what you went through. How is it possible? I've seen your story that you went through this, you went through that, and you're smiling. You're absolutely beautiful, and you don't look it. And I said, I did, but I didn't let it damage me, and I didn't let it destroy me, and I'm not going to allow it to destroy you or change you either.
What made me proud of the woman's fighting back when I saw The Burning Bed?
Oh, yes. One of my top movies.
Shit, I'm like, that's right, fry his ass.
Exactly.
Miles, that's called I've Had Enough.
I know. My mother was cooking us spaghetti one day. You remember them black frying pans back in the day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he slapped my mother. She picked up that frying pan and hit him with the sauce.
That frying pan was a weapon back then.
Yeah, my mother like, I ain't gonna play that shit. I got
Miles and Brian. Dude, I'm a Medea fan. I'm sorry. And did you see one of the movies? I think The Family That Prays, that the young lady was going to get married to a man that was abusive, and she decided to go to her house one day. And when this guy Carlos came to Medea's house, she shook and she was scared. And she was like, "Why are you scared?" I was like, "You're acting like he's hurting you." And she says, "Yes." And she was like, "What are you going to do about it?" And she was like, "I'm going to do something about it." So Medea was like, Carlos came in and was like, "Well, Carlos, it's nice to see you." And he was like, "You too, Medea. I would like to talk to my fiance." But he did it in a very angry way. Yeah. And she saw how he grabbed her and was like, she looked at her and she says, "Well, Carlos might be hungry. There's a pot on the stove of hot grits."
Yeah.
So Medea walked out. When she walked out,
that one, yeah.
You saw that he slapped her.
Yeah. That was a subtle hint. Subtle hint.
Like, throw them grits. He might be hungry. So he slapped her.
Yeah, he might be hungry. Go give him some grits.
Some grits.
And when she said when they got outside, she said, "Oh, that's some grits hollering."
Yeah, that's Al Green. Yeah, he know about them grits. Yeah.
I was cracking up.
Yeah. Something about them hot grits.
I saw another one where that lady learned how to fight. She was whooping her husband's ass.
Oh, you talking about Jennifer Lopez and Enough?
Yeah. Oh, I like, go ahead, girl. I was Beat him down. That's right.
Yeah.
And
so,
what?
We just thank God today, Miles. Me as a man of faith and great belief, my relationship with God is my power. That's my source. That's the thing that corrects me. That's the thing that keeps me moving forward in progress. And I'm just going to stand on that until I'm dead. For God I live, for God I die. It's been working for me for the last 9 years, and I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to keep believing in the power of love, and because at the end of the day, God is love, and we as men, whether you're black, white, green, or Chinese, we have to take our right positions back.
That's right.
Our houses need to be protected. Our women and daughters need to be protected. Our men need to be taught how to be men. And the only way I know from living 58 years on this earth is that your relationship with the higher power, whatever you want to call them, you have to be in tune, and it will teach you. And that's just what I'm going to stand on, and that's just it with me for tonight. I love you, Francesca. Stay in peace, girl. Keep soaring, and you got support.
Well, thank you. Go ahead, Miles.
Somebody like her, like what, 2 pounds?
Who?
That's how her voice be sounding like 2 pounds of like hell.
Who, me?
Because when she be talking, she be like, I be saying to myself, she said, "Tilly, I ain't taking no more ass whoopings."
Yeah.
Well,
2 pounds voice, right? Just got big all of a sudden. David and Goliath.
Listen, you too. It took a lot of me. Oh, I love you too, and I had the pleasure that you was at my vision board, and everybody that assisted. You know, I got nothing but love for you guys. Absolutely. Yeah. But I always say there's courage to walk away. You have to have the courage to walk away from certain situations that you no longer know that it's going to affect your peace. And I admire myself, and that's something that I carry with me all the time, that I carried the strength after so much years that I honestly came out, not only the power of love, but the power that I have for my daughter, that I said, this individual can not only kill me, but can kill my daughter. That's my first thought was, he can kill my daughter, and you just killed me completely if you do that, because I would not I would not be able to overcome that. So the fact that I came out of that bathroom and I said, okay, now is a do or die, because he's holding a knife, not just a regular knife, it was a butcher knife. I have a picture of that when I speak. It was a butcher knife, and I said, okay, God, when I come out, it can be either or. He can stab me to death and kill me in front of my daughter, or he can just off both of us. But when I come out of this bathroom, I'm coming out as fighting, whatever this individual's going to do. So, you know what? It was not how I thought. No, it was not how I thought. God did that because he was like, y'all both ain't going nowhere. I'm doing this. And when the cops came, that's it. It was closed chapter and everything ended right there. Sometimes you got to learn how to let go. I'm not the one returning to a situation like that. I don't suggest anyone to return to a situation like that. It's not. It's awful. It's toxic. I always say once an offender, always going to be a repeat offender all the time. He is a repeat offender. Prayers I'll go to anyone that's in that situation. But my strategy for resisting the going back are the topics that we touched tonight, and 3 of them is like talk through the feelings that are making you wanting to go back. Tap into that really, and visualize what you went through. Do you really want to go through that again? Ask yourself what will be different. Is the situation going to be different? It's going to be the same. Focus on the here and now, not the future. Focus on the here and now when you're looking to go back. And those are the resisting factors, where my topic was when they do get back together, there is a lot of cons, not pros. And the resisting...
That's you. Or she going back, she must... We had cops used to say, oh, she going back because she like to get her ass whooped. I'm like, yo, man, why do you say something like that?
And you know what, Miles? I'm glad you brought that up, because I know you was at the beginning of the program, and sometimes when I speak at certain engagements, I have to prepare myself where the questions are going to be good and bad. And I did say from the beginning, I had an individual, I spoke, I think, in East Orange, and I had a man ask me this question. And I was like, go ahead. Though I was heated when he asked, though I heard the question, I was heated, but I said, you know what, I have to be very professional, and this is what I'm here for, because they're going to question why so long. They're going to question, you know, why I held the abuse. And the question was, why did you tolerate so much of what you went through? Did you like it? It was a 2 question in 1. Why did you endure, and did you like it? And I rephrased it by saying I endured it for certain reasons, because I had little children and I was threatened, and we don't have the resources that we have now. Now, the second one, did I enjoy it? Absolutely. Transparent. It's in English and in Spanish. Who loves to get raped? Who loves to get punched? Who loves to get knocked down the stairs? You know, who likes to have that done to them? If I was asked if I wanted him back again, it would be a no. So if I endured all that, how can you honestly ask me, did I like that? You know, I don't. I'm going to be honest with you guys. My left leg, my right leg, I had surgery. I had nails holding it up. Day before yesterday, it cramped where my big thumb split from my other toe, and it widened, and it caught a cramp, and it stayed like that, like a spasm, for a good 10 minutes. And I was in agony in the bed, trying to rub it, trying to push my big toe back. And when I did that, it hurted. That's the scar he left me.
Damn.
Sometimes when it rains, on my right hand, my second index finger is deformed. It hurts a lot. They were not able to fix it. They were not able to rephrase the bone. And that's stuff that I go through, and I have to deal with it and know that's what you left me. Now, the scars are verbal. They went in the wind. The scars physical, I'm not going to say they're not there. They're there. I can't prevent it. I can't tell my feet not to have a spasm because I had surgery, because he broke my ankle in 3 places. And that affected my nerves.
That's what you do the rest of your life, right?
No matter what, I catch a spasm, they split all wide open, and I just have to deal to the spasm subside without, no matter if I put rubbing lotion, no matter if I put a heating pad, it's 10 minutes that I endure that pain until my fingers fluctuate and the nerves uncringe and they get straight again. And that happened to me the day before yesterday.
Hey, friend, when I was growing up in my neighborhood, and like the guys and be fighting with their girls, I used to hate when the cops show up. It'd be 2 men cops. And I used to always think they're gonna take the man's side, and they do.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
I can attest to that, Miles. I can attest to that.
I hate that. I used to hate that.
Yeah.
You should always have a man and a woman cop come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that, Miles. DV calls are the worst.
Yeah.
Officers with DV calls, that's when most officers die, is on domestic violence calls, because the perpetrator knows that this thing is coming to an end. And most of them, they don't want to take responsibility for what they're doing. Suicide by cop. Kill the girl, kill themselves. If I can't have you, nobody can. Just psychotic thoughts. It's a sad case. To see a woman's light go out of her eyes. It's a really sad case. I'm trying to understand, as a man who has a woman that's filled with light, and then all of a sudden you look at her one day and it's not there.
You want to take it away.
Doesn't that bother you just as a human? But I've come to understand that some people aren't human. They're in the body, but their characteristics are not human. And we men that are left that are still of good character, we have to maintain that. It's 2024. Abuse is starting early now. Girls 13, 14, 15 years old are with boyfriends who are abusing them much early. So by the time they get 23, they done did 10 years of abuse. So us men that are of this character now, we really got to take a stand and just.
Right where I live at now, around the corner from my house here. The projects over there.
Yes.
Them girls in there, they be fighting them boys. Now, like, God, girl, I said, you only like 12, 13 years old.
Yeah,
God, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's unheard of, but I think, Miles, it'll all turn around. We just got to keep the character of God, my friend.
Yeah, that's
you just got to keep the character of God. So sooner or later, somebody gonna ask the question. Sooner or later, somebody gonna ask the question. They're gonna ask the question. What must I do? Oh boy, they're gonna ask the question. What must I do?
One thing my cousin thought I was crazy for is when I saw that girl that I had hit, I went to apologize to her.
Yeah.
And man, she tried to hit your sister in the back of the head. I said, yeah, but she's a woman. I'm a grown man, and when I hit her, I knew I hurt her. And it's like a pain went through me, like, damn.
Yeah. A conviction went through you. A conviction.
Yeah, but you realize it and you want to correct it and apologize it. And
right. That's the difference. That's what makes you a big guy, because you realized that you wanted to correct it right away and you went to do it.
Yeah.
And so I give you kudos for that, my friend.
To this day, me and her cool as hell.
Yeah, because you've already done something that you apologized, right away. You didn't wait 6 months, 2 years, till she remarried. You went right away. Listen, I was out of order, But if you didn't have some spirit of God inside of you convicting you on what you had did, you wouldn't have done that, my friend. Trust me.
Okay, so
I know plenty of guys that's in relationships, and they don't be doing no I'm sorry.
I wonder why I'm guilty for hitting this girl.
No, you
like,
do.
I feel like I done broke the law or something for hitting a woman. Like, damn.
Help us out, Francesca. Help us out. We're just two men trying to learn. Help us out, pretty girl. Give us some 411.
That's why I listen to her all the time, man.
Listen, Miles, thank you. You have told your testimony here about what happened to your wife, and you got a better understanding of the situation and was able to, understand and help her out, because I always say there's triggers that happen. It was something that, no one wants to see a child fall. Absolutely, they call into everything. But she never, and I'm going to tap in real quick because I'm going to have to close out. In your situation, when you said she crawled up like a ball, you did not know she went through abuse. Has she communicated it to you? And I always say communication is key. For her to have done that, you realize when she opened up to you what she went through, not knowing that you're not that person.
Right.
You know that you're a different totally person, and and that structure was there. Some people do not realize, they don't realize their actions in the moment. And like you just said, your sorry was genuine. Other people's sorry is not genuine. And
absolutely not.
It'll never happen again. I'm sorry. How many times I heard that through my lifetime, that song and dance, and everything was totally different. I said, listen, I'm not going to listen to this man that's sorry, because one day you slapped me and you were sorry. One day you blackened my eye and you were sorry. One day you threw me down the steps and made me lie that I tripped down the steps when you threw me. And the consequences was my leg. Many, many incidents, and I always say that sorry, it goes in the wind. My thing is, we're not here to be hurt. On both sides, men and women, love is not supposed to hurt. Absolutely. I always emphasize, if it doesn't work, move on. We're not chained to each other. If you're married, divorce. If it's not working, just divorce and set, as friends.
Me too, like that. You don't care his father. You beating on their mother like that?
No, and you know what? I've seen so much. And, I mean, I'm not going to say I have regrets for what I signed up for, because to me, this stuff of domestic violence was a vision for me back then. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I had the courage to stand there in front of so many people and tell my testimony. But through my testimony, I started saying, okay, I'm going to rock this thing. And then I had the privilege and the honor where I was offered a podcast to enlighten and educate people more and more. And I just say I've been very successful doing that. I have people always inboxing me. I heard your show. I know someone that's going through something like that. Can I give them your number? I'll speak to them first. So when you see that feedback from the podcast and from everything I'm doing, I just say, you know what, God, I understand now. And I tell people, I understand why I had to go through that, because the purpose and the outcome was different, so I understand that situation. That it affected me and damaged me, absolutely not. Anyone that has met me in person, I'm always smiling. I'm never angry. I just keep it moving. And I look at.
I can never understand how you get beat. I like, you went through that.
Yeah, but Miles.
What?
Let's keep it 100 here. Don't let that smile fool you. Don't let that smile fool you, Miles.
No, when I first met her,
have you in here.
I talked to her a lot over the phone.
Yeah.
When I asked her the meetings where she had gave this thing, I can't believe she went through all that.
Yes, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful.
I always be straight with her. She know I be straight with her. But I'm standing in this chair, and I'm listening to her talk and laughing and she went through all that and she still got her spirit up.
Yeah. But at the end of the day now, Miles, you gotta attest. Francesca might even agree to this. At the end of the day, Miles, she will defend herself now. She ain't went through all of that to lay down now.
I know that.
So, I feel bad for a joker now. I really feel bad.
Hey, I walk down the street with her and sit break down. She'll help me.
I got your back. You know I got your back. You know that. Well, the conversation was absolutely wonderful. The dialogue tonight was absolutely a blessing. I am so happy to hear that God put healing over your body, Miles. It's good to have you back.
Yes. Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah, I am so happy. This is my number one fan all the time, and I was like, okay, he's going to beat this stuff and get out of the hospital, blah, 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 and he did it, and he's here. So I am so happy to hear that you're back. Blessings to you. Thank you so much for everybody that's listening for coming on the podcast tonight. Now, if you guys are not busy, you can stick around for John Monroe at 8 o'clock. That comes right after me. Everybody needs to check their vision. And also, big announcement, Grown Folks Talking will have an event in August. Please come out. You're going to get to meet all of us, all the podcasters. It's going to be in North from 12 to 6 on a Saturday. 12 to 6 on a Saturday, August the 10th. We're all going to be there. You're going to get to meet the podcasters, probably even the viewers that are listening to us are going to be there too.
Going to be at the library?
Tap into Forest because this will be my first time, I think my second rodeo going into North, but I've been in North for speaking engagements. Okay. This will be Grown Folks Talking first event where we're going to be introduced to all the podcasters. There's going to be banding, all kinds of wonderful stuff that day. So,
mic check. Mic check.
Hey, Forrest, I got a few to rock out so John Monroe can come in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to say this real quick. First of all, it's good to hear Brother Miles. I listened to the show. And, and the second thing is, it's called the Dis-Ease. I'm going to make sure you get the information, Miles. Francesca, we're going to send you, Ariel's going to screen shoot you the video. And also to the other brother that's always on supporting you every week. It's called the Dis-Ease Prevention Convention and Health Forum. It's going to be in Newark at the Salvation Army Gymnasium, Miles on 19th Street. So we'll get that information.
Oh, I know where that is. I know that place.
Yeah, that's where we'll be at.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you'll be informed, Miles, and glad to hear you, brother. Like she said, he put Most High put his hands on your back. That's good.
And all they gonna do is work on my legs, and I'll be up and running around.
That's what I'm talking about. I gotta be quiet because I know John's coming on. And what's the other brother's name that comes on? I'm sorry.
Brian.
Brian, we're gonna send you some information too, brother. He wants you to come through.
Yes, sir. If God's be willing, I'll be there. I'm willing to learn all I can learn because it's only going to help me to be a better person.
Well, God's medicine will be there, brother.
And
yes, sir.
When my legs get back, I'm going to break dance for you, babe.
All right, no problem.
Don't you do it, Miles. Miles, don't you break dance.
Hey, that's my girl right there. That's my heart.
Hey, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Stick around for John. I have to click out so he can come on. It's been an awesome dialogue. Stay blessed. I love my kings and queens all the time.
All right, now you take care of yourself.
Stay in peace, Francesca, and you already know what it is you can do, baby girl. You already know.
Yeah,
Enjoy the rest of the night. Stay in peace. Miles, stay up, big bro. Stay up.
All right.